So, for those that don't know anything about CERN, CERN are the people that are behind the Large Hadron Collider, or Hadron Collider. I know there are different pronunciations. This is a project that stems several countries, under France, under Switzerland, teamed up with the United States. Well, they literally just announced in the last several days that they are going to build a new superconductor. This is already 26 miles in length, okay? And this one will be at least 52 miles in length, but may be even larger, and they're saying it's going to take decades. Now, publicly, CERN is about basically recreating the Big Bang and finding the quote-unquote Higgs boson particle, the God particle. And I believe they've announced that they've found it 3 or 4 times, only to retract those statements again and again. The question is that what they're really doing? And if that's what they're doing, why is there so much money behind it? You would assume that they're trying to do something else, harness a different energy source, study something different. And to have the stage of some of the largest global political leaders here is very telling. Now, this is going to couple back on a micro level with some of the other people that are here. Eric Schmidt on the steering committee. He's one of the people on the board of Alphabet, the shell corporation for Google. Now, he's coming out of an AI conference out in China. Now, what's very, very interesting to me, and what a lot of people won't understand when I say this, is that Goldman Sachs has an even larger presence here this year. Why is that important? Well, Goldman Sachs are literally the lead investors with Jeff Bezos of Amazon and Apple in the quantum computers that Google and NASA use in conjunction with one another, called D-Wave computers. Okay, and I know a lot of people aren't familiar with what D-Wave is. In fact, I wasn't very familiar with what D-Wave is or what a quantum computer itself is. Okay, in fact, it's very perplexing for somebody like us to even discuss these things. But in the appreciation of dexterity, Google and NASA put out a joint commercial where they promoted these D-Wave computers and quantum computers basically as a way to create better and better AI. But at the same time, they were promoting the multiverse theory, not as a theory, but as factual. And the best way I can describe that these things operate is that they are pulling matter out that is smaller than a quark, that's called a qubit. And a qubit, quantumly, can be represented as a 0 and a 1 at the same time, but then also creates even more of a masking qubit in between. And what they're saying is happening is that they're pulling out qubits, aka energy, from parallel dimension. I can't factually state anything. I can only tell you what they've talked about, but that's exactly what they're saying. They're discussing this as parallel realities in which everything is almost the same except for the position of 1 or 2 qubits that they're pulling through at a time. And the other thing that's super interesting about this is that this technology is on an exponential Kurzweilian singularity growth, where only 10 years ago they thought what was possible today wasn't going to be possible for 100 years. Say that I don't know where they're pulling these qubits from. You know, they very much could not be accessing the quote-unquote multiverse. And again, I'm using their own terminology. But what I thought was extremely interesting about it is that they talked about it not only on a micro level, taking these qubits out, but that these universes exist on a macro level. So basically, they're trying to talk about organic life like you and me, that they're pulling this power up. So flip that from being somewhat frightening, just based on talking about it. Their AI has gotten so good that their predictions from 2013 and 2014 that these computers, these quantum computers, would outpace their engineers has now become public. They literally say that the end goal of these things is to create human-like machines with artificial intelligence, and the only way that they were going to be able to do this is through quantum physics and the fact that the AI they create will create better AI. And again, this isn't me saying it. I will, hopefully give you some links in the description so you can see the gentlemen that used to work for DARPA that now are part of this project and espousing these things. And once again, like I said, just a week ago, Google announced that their AI is outpacing their engineers in creating AI. So now you have Eric Schmidt in there coming off an AI conference. You have Goldman Sachs at a higher level than ever that is heavily invested in this D-Wave technology. And then you have a guy like Peter Thiel, who is the technology advisor to the President of the United States and on the steering committee here at Bilderberg in attendance. I would be hard-pressed to believe that some of the things that I just discussed are being talked about on a level that I can't even comprehend. And to pull CERN in, which is almost like a macro project of these quantum computers, is just more evidence that they're definitely discussing these things. And I would assume, I mean, we are in 2017, AI is a real thing. The future of AI affects all of us. And the power elite are going to try to get a grasp on that so that you and I will have it on a controlled level, if at all. Well, yeah, no, people should be out here discussing these things, and I think that's why one of the things on the agenda is, can globalization be slowed down? Obviously, the people inside here are not trying to slow down globalization, but they want to know, to people like you, to people like the independent press, to people who are out here just protesting, do they pose enough of a threat that their ultimate goals can be slowed down? And once again, you know, Trump isn't the first populist to be voted into office. You have Corbyn, you have the people voting on Brexit. You do see a lot more people saying, you know what, let's localize things, let's be concerned about our own people, and let's get away from this globalization. And obviously, that's at big odds with the majority of the people in here.